My name is Mburu Machua, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Basically, I wanted to talk briefly. I've been hearing stories, and stories are very exciting. People have come from very far, and actually, it's very exciting when you hear about those stories and you hear about change drives. And that's why I believe mentorship is very important. The moment you go to mentor these children, you change their lives. I remember my small story when I was in primary school. I was basically an average student, and I had like a teacher or two who could say that I would not amount to much. I did my CP. I was in the older system. I was in the last group of what we are calling A-level force. Went to secondary school. At this school, struggled, got a second division. But in the back of my mind, I was saying, so long as I go to Form 5 and I get my best subject, the sky would be the limit. So when I went to A-level, I went to a school. That was way back in 1988. The best student had 11 points. So I could tell my friends, I want to do law. By that time, to do law, you needed to get the highest points: law, medicine, pharmacy, architecture. So this school has never produced a lawyer. What makes you believe that you'll be the first one? So you can imagine the guy had 11, and the cut-off point to do law was 17 points. By and by, we were taking 3 subjects. I decided to take 4 subjects. When I did, and I remember now when we closed the school, we could go to the village. You get the guys who went to the good school. They do not want to study with you. They are hiding somewhere so that you do not, a lot of stuff. I don't know whether some of you have gone through that. So when I did my Form 6, actually I was among the best 10 in the country. Out of 41,000, I was among the best from what you'd call a Harabe school. So, so I realized way back when I was in Form 2, I had a brother who was in the university, and I remember there was time they were striking, and that's the first time I was beaten by police. I was basically a Form 2 student, and he told me, make sure that you do not just come, make sure that you come to this place where you've been beaten when you are not actually striking because you are not a university student. And I remember I used to admire, where you could go, those are the days when being a university mattered a lot. So basically that's why I wanted to say, people come from far, and I believe, whatever people say about you, whatever people say about those young students you go to mentor, actually they do not have the last word. The last word is with God. So briefly, when Mr. Omete told me to come and talk, I wanted to talk about a concept which I am very passionate about. I'm calling a model school. I realize when we go to do mentorship, people go to do mentorship. But I wonder whether we ask ourselves, are we giving these kids our best? So I've developed a concept which we are doing in the school, in all the schools we are going, particularly public schools. And this is gelling very well with what we are calling competent-based curriculum, or CBC. And we are looking about, when we go to school, we are starting with starting an environment club. If they do not exist, if they exist, we try to strengthen them up, and then we are combining with what we call 4K club. And we are saying this about environment because, again, I'm very passionate about the environment. I believe you can never talk about, like when Uhuru talks about the Big 4, talks about agriculture, talks about health, talks about housing, talks about manufacturing. You can never talk about those issues without the environment, whether you're talking about economic empowerment. So we want to go and do what Al-Shabaab does very well. They go and radicalize young people. So we are trying to radicalize young people in a positive way, because when Al-Shabaab goes to these young people, they want them to die in jihad, they will tell these young people, 17, 18, if you join jihad and you die, you are going to get 72 virgins. You can imagine when you are telling a 17-year young man, they are excited, they are ready to do anything to die so that they can get. But if you go to tell someone like Mburu Machua that you get even one virgin. I don't know what I would do even with one virgin. But for young people, they get excited. Because we say, primary, as a young person, like in primary school, a blank check is what you put in it. So we are starting environment club, so we want to have a buzz dance in the environment. Because again, if you talk about economic empowerment and growth in a country, we must think about environment. Then from there, we are doing a nursery for indigenous and fruit trees, particularly fast growing, because we want to ensure that when rain comes, we are able to have, under the United Nations, we are supposed to ensure every country is supposed to have 10% of its land covered with vegetation. Kenya, we are doing miserable 6%. So we want to ensure that we have millions of seedlings, fruit and indigenous trees which we can plant when rains come. Of course, we also introduce what we are calling organic farming. Why are we doing that? One, some of the schools we have gone, like the teacher who was here, we came with primary school, we went there with Akina Bonawamete and a few Rotarians, and we try to change, to see how we can change ensure that we can produce food which we can give these children. Because again, you go to some schools like Kigwe, I remember at times we went and a kid could fall when we were told it's because of hunger. So basically we're introducing organic farming. Unfortunately, most of these schools have a lot of land. And of course, we also try to create future farmers. If you become an engineer like the one who was speaking here, or maybe a pharmacist or a lawyer, and then you can become whatever, a doctor, and you are doing farming. Because farming, today we are spending more than 100 billion to import food in this country. And most of these schools which we go, they have a lot of land. So we want to change. And what happened in this country, it was, since independence, it was decided that the people who fail in school are the ones who go to do farming. I'm sure if you fail in school, you can never become a good farmer. Nowadays, the 21st century farmer must be someone who is educated, who can understand about farming. The other thing which we are doing in this school, we are starting a resource center. Resource center with a library, functional library, and ICT. I never understand how you can say that you're educating a child in a school which does not have a library. Research has been done by UN, UNICEF. The kids who read books, story books, actually are able to improve their communication and they are able to improve their grades. But I've gone to high schools, I've gone to primary schools, they do not have a libraries. And fortunately, we have a lot of books in our homes. I went to one school and I met the teacher, said, it's a very good idea to have a library, and where do we get books? I told them, I'll give you 1,000 bob. Give this kid, tell this kid that you're going to buy the mandazi if they come with a storybook. Today we have cartons and cartons of books. Even now we are building a library. So there's a lot of books. Even here, there's so much books which we have in our homes, which we can be able to bring to this library. So that, because again, you can imagine like in town, a woman is a single mother, maybe with 3-4 kids. She's doing cleaning business in the field, in the estate, gets 400-500. Is she going to buy a storybook for this kid, or she's going to buy a Uga? So we must think about the kids, the people who are coming from poor backgrounds. So library is a must. If you go to this school, you try to talk about mentorship, how to improve grades. If you're not doing about library, I can tell you, there will be some improvement, but not as good as when there's a library. And I can tell you the schools where we've started libraries, we've started seeing change and positive change. The other one is like ICT. It worries me that a young person would clear Form 4 without basics of computer. And we're expecting this kid to compete globally. Like 3 months I was in the US and I went to a few states. I went to Yahoo, that's what we call Silicon Valley. And I met this young guy from Kiabu. He was telling us he started working, he got his first computer when he was joining Form 4. Then after Form 4, he was a little bit gifted, he did a diploma, then a degree, and then he got a job with Yahoo in US. So he was telling me, he met this young boy from India who started with working with computers when he was 4 years. He was telling us the knowledge gap is 10 years. Even salary gap is 10 years. It worries me that we have schools where students would go to Form 4 without touching computers. Fortunately, there are so many companies which are discarding old computers. And these students in high school do not require very sophisticated. It's just a basic computer. So I'm requesting people, can we do, and even some of us have old computers at home, which we can take to these schools, so that we can give these guys a better footing technology-wise. The other thing we are doing in that school, we are creating what we call the award system, awarding best performing students, most improved. Again, people forget about, you could get a kid who was that out of that, then you go next time you find it number 25. We also need to identify the most improved. Then you look at maybe sports, because again in 21st century, people you can make a lot of money through sports, or what we call core curriculum activities. Because again, most of the parents, they are telling kids, you must become a doctor, you must become an engineer, you must become this and that. I can tell you, if you travel to some of these countries, like now I was watching Arsenal playing here. Most of these guys you see playing soccer, they are actually, they are billionaires. If you are playing for Man U, you play for Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, most of them they are billionaires. Wanyama playing for Tottenham, already he earns around 50 million per month, plus other benefits in advertisement. So we need to tell our children, there is this guy called Julius Yego. He had to go to the YouTube to know how to play, to do javelin. Today he's a millionaire, he's not globally. So we are trying to, also what we're trying to do is to encourage kids to know their talents, so that they can, whether it's sports, so so that at least they have an opportunity, because there are some kids, whatever you do, they can never perform well in education. They are not given, for some reasons, there are people, it doesn't matter what kind of books you give them, what kind of, so you need to identify those talents. Of course, leadership. We're also trying to see there are kids who start becoming prefects when they're in class 1. So you see these are guys who can nurture them to become future MPs, future governors, future senators. We need to start thinking seriously about mentoring these young people to become good leaders, such that when we're 60 years, you'll be seeing this is the fruit of what you mentored leadership-wise. The other thing which we're doing in that school, of course, we are introducing what we call diversified sports. Diversified sports. If you go to, in my time, if you went to a school, you could find javelin, shot put, discus, high jump, triple jump, long jump. Today, if you watch Olympics, you see children from China or young from China, Russia, America participating in more than 40, 50 disciplines. In Kenya, long distance running. Who said what Chinese, Russians, young people do, ours cannot do, if not better? But how can we do that if we do not expose them to as many sports as possible? So we are encouraging this model school that we introduce as many sports as possible. Like as a lawyer, there is one of the issues we have a problem. We have, like now when the schools close, girls are being defiled, women are being raped. So we are introducing what we call martial arts, things like karate, taekwondo, boxing, things like kabaddi and all that. And I was invited by a friend of mine in Kebera. There are these women, because Kebera there is a lot of raping issues, or rape cases. So these women, they are 8 years, they have been introduced karate. So if you try to touch that woman, anasa kufanya nini? And we hope we can teach this to our children. The moment you teach them these skills, one, they'll be able to defend themselves. Whether it's whether it's security-wise, because you know the kind of estate people are living even in the village. Number two, they might get a career from that martial arts, whether it's taekwondo, whatever. Three, you'll be able to ensure that these kids are basically fit. And again, you are finding some young people who are very young men and women who have a problem of obesity and all that. Cancer, blood pressure, diabetes and all that. The other thing is to identify talents, nurture that talent and see how we can market the talents. And we are saying, for many years, Africans women have been told black is ugly. Today, Lupita Nyong'o is earning millions of dollars in California, Hollywood, and she says black is what? What is it? So how many, like now where Julia you come from in Mulana, how many Lupita Nyong'os do we have there?
Many.
So we are saying, unless we identify them, nurture them, because again we cannot just Lupita is like because it's coming from from a background where parents have exposure, they're educated, so they are able to. So we need to think about nurturing this talent from these kids. The other thing which we are doing in this school, we are creating what we call the empowerment, economic empowerment. Not everybody will become whatever or go to the university and all that. So we are introducing things like baking, things like making detergents, making beadwork, fashion and design. We are also making sure that this food they are growing, because we are doing organic farming, they can sell whatever surplus they have, they can be able to put it in the market. These seedings which we are doing, we are also doing it as a business. So we want these kids to get, to have an opportunity in life. Because again, we must concur and agree, not everybody will be able to get an A or a B or whatever. Of course, the other thing which we are doing, we are encouraging starting of alumni groups, or what we call the older student associations. What I have discovered in most of the schools I've gone, the schools which have alumni association, they do so well. Because when we are doing these programs, we require some finances. So there's some of these old students, some of them are very senior in government, in private sector, some of them, they diaspora, they just want a platform. So I want to encourage you, I don't know how many of you have gone back to the schools where they learned how to write ABCD. Nani amerudi kwa audis. Wamete, I know you have gone to your former school. Who else has gone to a school? Very good. I can see a few. Very good. We need to encourage, because this old student can bring a lot of positive changes in the schools. So basically, we are doing that by bringing all the stakeholders, starting from, of course, teachers themselves. We are bringing members of BOM, Board of Management. We are bringing parents. But when I talk about this, I'm talking about the progressive people. We are bringing the churches, which are sponsoring those schools. We are trying to bring the local leaders, so that now we can make a movement. Already we are working with the government, and we are starting one school per ward, such that now we'll be able to make that school model school. It becomes like a marking scheme, whereby the other schools will be coming to learn about a model school. And more importantly, this school, and this actually is something which I want you to take as very seriously, we are doing what we call massive water harvesting, water storage, water recycling, and sanitation. Again, when we tell people, we go to the schools telling them to start nurseries, start organic farming, the first issue there is about water. When you watch those schools, they have a lot of, a lot of buildings, but they have not done what you call water harvesting. And all what you need is just to put some gutters. If you cannot be able to buy some tanks, you can do underground, you can dig a water pan, the way we was planning when we were in class 4, and you collect this water, just cover it, and you can do a lot of farming with that water. So basically, we are trying to see whether we can change the life of these kids, that by the time they finish Form 4, we will have changed their circumstances. And of course, as we do that, we are focusing about environment. In the environment, we want to see how we can do as many trees as possible. We are very biased towards what we call the bamboo trees, which actually we are calling it a miracle tree. We are also trying to introduce what we call alternative, cheap and safe energy, such that if you go to the village, you tell mama, the woman in the village, not to use firewood or charcoal. You are able to offer alternative like biogas. Already we have an MOU we are doing with Jomo Kenyatta University, Rotary Club, as Rotarians. And we are doing that so that we want to have an all-out kind of program for the community. Because again, as I finish, I want to challenge you to think seriously about your legacy. How do you want to be remembered for? Must you reach 40 years, 50 years to start thinking about your legacy? Today we remember Wangari Maathai because of environment. I went to US, I found a university named after Wangari Maathai. I'm told there's a street in Paris, France, named after Wangari Maathai. We remember Mandela, who was put in for 27 years for fighting for freedom in South Africa. We remember Martin Luther King for fighting for equality in America and dying for it. Mother Teresa, we remember her for fighting for humanity. If today you are to meet your Creator, would you meet your Creator with the confidence and saying, "You give me the gift of life, You have given me good gift of good health. You have given me a family. You have given me a job. You have given me a career. Can you meet your Creator with confidence? And you do not have to reach what we call the biblical age. Who knows the biblical age?
70.
30.
70.
Yeah, 70 years. So people are dying young through accidents, through funny disease. So you have no luxury to say that I must reach the age of Wamete, the age of Mburu Machua, the age of ABCD. It is today. When Paul was persecuted and his time came, he was just smiling, saying, I've done what? I've learned the race. I'm went to the church. And then what? If you are to meet, if today you go and tomorrow you don't wake up, and God forbid, can you meet your Creator and say, whatever you gave me up is a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, this evening. And I'm very happy when I've heard your stories. Already you have joined Befido to go and change lives. 6 years old, all of you members of Befido, congratulations, job well done, and kindly try to change lives where you are.